Today's lesson is about pledges or oaths, and this is something that is known in Arabic as an-nadhr, and it was mentioned in the Quran, it is mentioned in the Sunnah, and it is something that a Muslim obligates upon himself, which Allah Azza wa Jal did not obligate. So to make such a commitment is something that a person is making his life without any justification more difficult, because he's the one who's doing it and he's not obliged to do it. The Prophet ﷺ advised us not to do pledges or oaths, because these pledges or oaths will not deter, will not prevent anything, and would not help in anything taking place. Because usually when I make an oath or a pledge, I do this because I want Allah to do something for me, or to prevent me from something happening to me. And Allah Azza wa Jal says in the Quran, whatever alms you give or pledges you make are known to Allah. And also Allah said, they are those who fulfill their vows and fear a day whose evil will be widespread. Aisha, may Allah be pleased with her, said, whoever pledges, and this is a hadith by the Prophet ﷺ, whoever pledges to obey Allah, he must obey Allah. And whoever pledges to disobey Allah Azza wa Jal must not disobey Allah. Now this might seem a little bit problematic to some, because some people would say, how is it that we're not recommended to make a vow while Allah praises those who fulfill their vows? And the scholars answered this, and they said, to make a vow in the first place is not recommended. The Prophet said that, alayhi salatu wasalam, when he told us that it does not bring any good. He prohibited, alayhi salatu wasalam, taking vows. He said, do not take vows. So he prohibited it in a way, but he also said that it is one of the means that Allah extracts wealth from a miser, and it does not bring any benefit or any good for you. Now, if I were this miser, I would have not sacrificed the goat, I would have not given the poor money, I would have not fasted, I would not have fasted 5 days for Allah, unless I had something I wanted from Allah. So I say, Ya Allah, if you cure my patient, I will slaughter a ram. And if my son passes the exam, I will fast for 5 days. So actually it is a transaction. It is something that I'd like to have an exchange with Allah Azza wa Jal, which is problematic because this is not the way you deal with Allah. However, once you commit to such a pledge or a vow, then you are obliged to fulfill it. And you are praised for fulfilling it, because you should fulfill what is a form of worship. Now, this is providing that your pledge is halal by itself. And we will get to know the types of pledges as we speak bi'idhnillahi azza wa jal. What are the conditions and the wording? A pledge is valid only when a person who is sane, a person who is an adult, a person out of his own free choice makes such a vow. Is there any special formula for that? No. If you just say, I owe it to Allah Azza wa Jal that I do such and such. If you say, I vow to Allah, I commit myself to do that for Allah Azza wa Jal. Anything that indicates an obligation upon yourself, it becomes a vow. One would rightly ask, isn't it part of the conditions that the person making such a vow is a Muslim? And the answer is no. It can also be from non-Muslims. And once they realize this, or the condition they had set takes place, then they must fulfill their vow. Evidence: Umar ibn Khattab, may Allah be pleased with him, came to the Prophet ﷺ and he said, O Prophet of Allah, I vowed in pre-time era, in Jahiliyyah, that I perform one day i'tikaf in Al-Haram in Mecca. So he vowed a form of worship, but at the time he was a kafir. So the Prophet said to him ﷺ, fulfill your vow. Fulfill your vow. Now the ruling on vows, as indicated earlier, it is makruh. It is disliked to oblige yourself with something Allah did not oblige you to do. However, some scholars went a bit further and said, no, it's not only makruh, it is actually prohibited. It is haram to do this. But, and this is a choice of Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, may Allah have mercy on his soul, and this is his a way of looking at it, because he says the Prophet clearly said it does not bring good. It has no benefit in it. And he said, do not make vows. So it should take the ruling of prohibition, but the majority say that it is permissible, yet makruh, disliked.